There's been some very big news recently. 100% mortgages, also known as zero deposit mortgages, have made a fantastic return. Essentially, what this now means is you can purchase a house having £0 deposit to put down.
To put it in simple terms, if you were to find a house for say £300,000, a 100% mortgage means that the bank lender is willing to give you the full £300,000 to buy the house, meaning that you don't have to put any of your own funds down up front. Is this a good thing?
I'm AK.
I'm Leah.
And this is our channel where we talk about property, business and working together as a couple.
So today we want to talk about the 100% mortgages, aka the zero deposit mortgage, which has been launched by Skipton Building Society, which aims to help first-time buyers that are renting get on the property ladder. And
in this video, we will go into what the 100% mortgage is, who is eligible for the 100% mortgage, and our personal thoughts on the pros and cons of this mortgage product.
So let's jump straight into what are the conditions and who is eligible for this kind of mortgage. Firstly, each applicant needs to be a first-time buyer. So that means that you can't own any property in your own name. You need to be 21 years of age or over. You need to have less than a 5% deposit saved on the purchase price of the property. And you've got to have absolutely no missed payments in the last 6 months. So this is like utility bills, mobile phone payments, car payments. You can't be having any missed payments because that will affect your credit score, and this lender is looking for a good credit score. The maximum amount you can borrow is £600,000.
You can't be looking to buy a new build flat. You have proof of having paid at least 12 months rent in a row in the last 18 months. And finally, you must have experience paying all household bills. These are things like utility bills or council tax for 12 months in a row in the last 18 months.
So those are the conditions for this 100% mortgage that's been launched by Skipton Building Society. And it's likely that other banks will follow suit. Now that one has launched it, the others will just copy because they don't want to miss out on business. So if you're finding this video helpful, before we carry on, please click the subscribe button. It really helps us out and it just takes a second.
So the next question to answer is what it's going to cost you.
Skipton Building Society recently announced that the interest rate for their 100% mortgage is 5.49%, which is quite a lot higher than your average percentage of interest rate on a mortgage where you say are borrowing only 90%, 80% or 70% loan to value. It's way higher because you are putting absolutely no money in, but you're paying more every single month.
So essentially the trade-off here is that your monthly payments will be higher, but you won't have to have saved up as much meaty deposit to put into the deal.
So let's break it down. On a property worth £300,000, let's compare what the estimated monthly cost would be for your mortgage based on having a 20% deposit, a 10% deposit, and absolutely no deposit. So what I've done here is I've put in the fees that come up when you search for these other loan to value mortgages as of today, May 2023. These are some rates that I found online, and then I've just compared it with the zero rates that you can expect with the Skiptons mortgage. So per year, that's coming out at £15,767 for a 20% deposit, which is 80% loan to value, £17,999 for 90% loan to value with having a 10% deposit, or over £4,000 more per year with the 100% loan to value, no deposit. So if you divide these by 12, that is what the costs work out at per month. So 1,314, 1,500 or 1,840 per month. That is quite a lot to be paying, especially in the first year where the majority of the payment is made up of interest rather than capital and interest, which comes a little bit later on.
It's also worth mentioning that you should probably consider budgeting for additional fees. These are things like product fees for the mortgage, stamp duty and also legal fees as well.
These fees vary, but in terms of the legal fees, we usually budget between £1,500 to £2,000 plus VAT for our solicitor costs. So what are the advantages to a 100% mortgage and what are the disadvantages? Do the pros outweigh the cons or vice versa?
Yeah, so I think one of the key advantages to this are not stumping up such a huge deposit for the purchase of a property. If we look at a house that maybe costs, say, £300,000, well, a 10% deposit there is £30,000. £300, and that's before you've taken into consideration stamp duty or legal fees or all the other fees associated with buying the property.
So the fact that most people don't have a deposit saved up if they're renting is exactly why this lender has said that they're announcing this product. They're saying generation rent are just paying rent every single month and there's no money to be put aside to build up a deposit.
Yeah.
So they're saying the advantage is you don't need a chunky deposit, we're going to lend you the full amount. Therefore, they're saying you could be a homeowner sooner than you think because you don't need to go save all that money. Those are probably the only pros I can think of.
Yeah, and I actually have a problem with that second advantage.
Yeah, about being a homeowner.
About being a homeowner, because I think what this is sort of saying is you need to own your own home, essentially, by us lending you 100% of the money. Well, technically you don't own anything.
Yeah, because we've lent you 100% of the money.
Yeah, so as far as I see it, and people may disagree with this, it might be controversial, is you're still technically a renter. Your landlord just becomes, in this case, Skipton Building Society.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the other thing I'd like to add on top of that is that you don't need to be a homeowner. Not everybody wants to be a homeowner, but to continually tell people that they need to be a homeowner to be seen as like a successful person in this society, I think is a little bit backwards. And I think it does essentially only ever reward the bank, reward the lender. They're the true winners in this situation because they're making so much money. But that's just my opinion. That's not fact.
These are just our opinions at the end of the day. But let's take a look at some of the main disadvantages of this type of product as well.
Obviously, if we look back to the last time that 100% mortgages happened, we soon saw the 2008 financial crash. A lot of people went into negative equity because house prices dropped and the money that they owed to the lender, to the bank, was more than what their house was actually worth. So what that looks like, for example, is say you've got a £300,000 house and you are borrowing £300,000, all of the money to buy that house. Then the market starts to dip and house prices drop. Your house might be worth, say, £280,000 and you owe £300,000. This is negative equity. This means you owe more than what you have. This is difficult if you want to sell the house because you need to then find the money to pay back the lender. It's just so worrying for a homeowner if you're in negative equity if you need to leave.
Of course, another huge disadvantage is that you are definitely going to pay higher interest rates, and this could potentially be a problem if we're looking at a property, say, that is valued at £300,000. Well, with 0% deposit, the monthly interest is going to be a lot higher than actually what it would probably cost you in rent in quite a lot of areas.
So in our area, for example, we live in the West Midlands, a £300,000 house could probably be rented for around £1,000 to £1,200 per month, depending on the quality of the house. Whereas with a 100% mortgage for £300,000, with Skiptons, you're looking at paying monthly costs of over £1,800. That's not including household bills and factoring in things going wrong.
It's just an interesting one, isn't it? Because when you think about it, how desperate are you to own a house, really? Because in that case, you could be paying an additional £500-600 a month on the repayment of that house. Okay, you know, you are paying towards that house and you are essentially sort of paying some of that capital back, but it's quite a huge cost in terms of additional cost.
And from what I read, the first year of payments is often made up of majority interest. It's not until you get into the later years that the capital payments start to come off the mortgage, which is why some mortgage lenders online have said, given any opportunity, pay more of it down if you can. And Skiptons have a maximum of 10% per year, which you can pay down on the capital that you owe. So there's a lot of like different opinions going on out there. I'd say, and we're not financial advisors and we're not brokers, but my personal thoughts on this mortgage is red flag. I would avoid. Yeah,
I think, look, you're going to also have less lenders that are going to offer this type of products. It's going to restrict you to certain lenders. And we've been talking about Skiptons in this case. And, you know, they come with those terms that we've discussed. So, yeah, so essentially when you look at the sort of pros and cons, really, yes, you can get onto the housing ladder without having a meaty deposit there. Great. But actually, what does it cost you?
Cost you higher interest rates, less choice of lenders, so not much choice at all, chance of falling into negative equity if house prices do fall.
So I'd just say it's a personal choice at the end of the day, but just be careful would be my general thoughts on it.
I think the fact that they're targeting this at generation rent is perhaps helpful in their opinion, but in my opinion, generation rent are not used to budgeting for extra things like things breaking in your house. That's usually the landlord's responsibility. So imagine paying as much as $1,800 and more a month, and then having all your bills on top, and then having things go wrong that usually your landlord would fix. I just think there's a lot of stuff you need to like factor in before you take on such a big monthly payment. It could really put a lot of financial stress on you if you were to take it out.
It is a really good point. I think it's just making sure that you understand absolutely everything with this type of product, the repayments, how much more it is than your current lifestyle, if you can budget for that, those additional payments, and really what it means.
And how important is it to you to own a house? What is your lifestyle? I think it's all about asking yourself those questions before you tie yourself into something as big as this.
And actually, just on that point, they've recently just released the 2023 Renters Reform Bill, which is going to be rolled out slowly over the next few months. And it's actually looking positive for tenants.
Yeah.
So they're giving tenants a little bit more power, should we say, and security, and not being sort of scared that they have to be kicked out of their house and things like this. So to your point, you know,
how much do you want to be a homeowner?
How much do you want to be a homeowner?
Yeah, when they're saying now there's never really been a better time to be a tenant. It's like they're looking at it and going, well, generation rent are generation rent. How can we make it better for them? I don't know. It's just an interesting point.
It's quite telling, because I think the whole cultural thing behind owning and renting a house
shifting
is, well, in the UK, it's very much you need to own your own house. But actually, when I was talking to a friend who's German, he actually said to me that mentally and culturally, they don't mind renting. They almost shy away from buying their own house. They actually look for rentals, which is quite an interesting sort of thing, really.
Such an interesting observation. And please let us know what you think about this in the comments below. We would love to hear your thoughts and feedback. Would you ever consider a 100% mortgage as a first-time buyer? And do let us know if you've got any questions, because if we can, we'll answer them in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button. It takes like a second and it really helps us out. And we'll see you in the next one.
See ya.
Bye.